Greetings and welcome back to the Casual Wargamer. In this video we'll be looking at the Librarius Conclave detachment for Space Marines that came in the Grotmas detachment lists. This is the detachment for Space Marines. Specifically, it's aimed at generic Codex compliant chapters, but you can obviously use this with the likes of Blood Angels, Dark Angels, Space Wolves, but obviously not Black Templars. Okay, so I'm going to start off by saying this is the detachment for my army, a Space Marine player. I'm going to be very, very honest and upfront about this. I'm not overly impressed by this particular detachment. I was hoping for something better, but let's take a look. So, the detachment rule is called Psychic Disciplines. And at the start of the battle round, you select one of the following psychic disciplines, and it lasts until the end of the battle round. So they don't work in your opponent's battle round. And these effects apply to all units that have an Adeptus Astartes Psyker in them. So you have a Biomancy, which gives you +2 movement to the models in the unit. Yeah, I can see that. That's, giving you a chance to run up the table a bit better. Divination Discipline. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack, re-roll the hit roll of 1 and re-roll the wound roll of 1. Hey, what's not to like? Pyromancy. Each time a ranged attack made by a model in the unit targets an enemy unit within 12 inches, improve the armor penetration of that attack by 1. Now, this is the first one where I kind of go, if I don't get the 12 inch, it's too close range. If you were to let this be 24, so they actually get the benefit of it as something outside of close quarters firefights, it would have been better. You've got to remember that Space Marines do struggle, even with we haven't really seen how the changes from the balanced data slate will work. They have improved, but I still think they struggle. So giving them this at a 24-inch range would have been a better option. You have the Telekinesis Discipline. Each time a ranged attack targets this unit, subtract 1 from the strength of the attack. That's nice. It's kind of better at low strength rather than anything coming in from a heavy weapon. It's probably still wounding on 3s or 2s. And you have the Telepathy Discipline. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack, you can ignore any or all modifiers to the attack's weapon skill or ballistic skill, and any or all modifiers to the hit roll. Okay, so it's kind of like the tactical doctrine, not tactical, but the doctrines in the Gladius Task Force, in that you can pick one. In this case, you don't have the restriction of each one can only be used once. So each turn you could be doing the same one, or you could do a different one, but you have to pick one, and it applies to each unit that has a Psyker in it. Okay. This is my first issue and why I initially do not like this detachment particularly. How many Space Marine players out there, how many librarians do you own? Guessing it's not many. I have 4, and one of them is kind of I have a basic one, a Terminator, a Phobos, and a librarian on bike from Legends. So, and I'm probably never going to buy any more librarians. I don't need to. Had this been something along the lines of you have to have a minimum number of librarians depending on the size of the game. So 2 for a basic game, 3 for 2,000 points, and 4 for 3,000 points. And the effects applied as a bubble, as an aura. So it wasn't just you. You could have another unit that's within, say, 6 inches or 12 inches that also benefited, and it wasn't just affecting, say, infantry or whatever like that. You could boost a tank or a dreadnought. It would be better. Right now, who owns that many librarians? And if you were playing a big enough game, you've got loads of stuff that isn't going to benefit from any of these abilities. See, this is the problem. It's not quite good enough. If you saw my last video, the Grey Knights one, I make mention in that where I think the detachments we have for Grotmas are probably detachments that didn't make the cut for the codices. So here they're going, here, have these, have them for free, but they're not quite good enough. The only one I've seen so far, which I think really, really good, is the Necron Star Shatter Assault. Everyone else has been kind of or pants. This one is kind of below average, but it's not quite pants. You have 4 enhancements. You have Prescience for 25 points. So 1 Astartes Psyker excluding Terminators. Once per turn, when an enemy unit ends a normal advance or fallback move within 9 inches of the bearer's unit, the bearer's unit can make a normal move of up to d6 or 6 inches instead if the divination discipline is active for your army. 1. Why not Terminators? Why can't they benefit from this? That doesn't make sense. There's nothing amazingly brilliant about Terminators that stops this. You know, all right, gets them, potentially can get them closer for the next turn, but so what? It's somebody else. You could have this, I don't know. You know, for example, I mentioned that I've got a librarian on bike. So I could have this ability affect a unit of Outriders. All right, they're not as, they're slightly better now than they were. But if I can do that, why can't I use this on Terminators? Also, you get a max of 6 if you're in the divination discipline. So you pretty much got to know that you're likely to be in this most of the time. And that doesn't sit right with me. You'll see this further on as we go through into the stratagems, and I'll explain what I mean. You have Celerity for 30 points. So 1 Astartes Psyker, the bearer's unit is eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which it advanced, and if the Biomancy discipline is active for your army, it is eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which it fell back. Okay, so this is basically giving you the tactical doctrine from the Gladius detachment. At 30 points, it's too high. This should have been 20. 30 points is far too high for this. And again, you need to know that you are going to be in the Biomancy discipline. I'm guessing you're going to have a favoured one and you would take the appropriate enhancement for that favoured one. But it still seems a bit, don't like it. Obfuscation, 20 points. Enemy units cannot use the fire overwatch stratagem to shoot at the bearer's unit, and if the telepathy discipline is active for your army, the bearer's unit cannot be targeted by ranged attacks unless the attacking model is within 18 inches. That I like. 20 points is fair. You see what I mean? I was going to wait till the stratagems, but you can see what I mean. You've got to know you are in a specific discipline. Which, I mean, your discipline is going to change through the game, surely. You're going to focus on the one that you think will work best, most likely. But, I don't think these should be based around a discipline. They should just be an effect that you have. And lastly, you have 15 points for Fusillade. Astartes Psyker Maloney, as always. Ranged weapons equipped by models in the bearer's unit have anti-monster and anti-vehicle 5. Plus, if you're in the Pyromancy discipline, they have sustained hits 1. And if you're in the Telekinesis discipline, they get +6 to their range. I like this. 15 points seems fair. And you have the option of 2 things based on the discipline that you are in. I don't know. The more I read through this, the more I'm like, I don't like I'm repeating myself, but I don't like the focus on you must be in a discipline to gain this extra ability. Just give us an ability and leave it alone. Stratagems then. We have Armour of Contempt. Everything here is 1 CP. You have Sensory Assault. In the command phase, 1 Astartes Psyker from your army. You select 1 enemy unit within 18 inches and visible to 1 Psyker model in your unit. And until the start of your next turn, that enemy unit is pinned, and while pinned, they get -2 to their move, -2 to their charge rolls, and in addition, if you're in the telepathy discipline, the enemy unit must make a battle shock test at -1. Okay, that's nice. But again, they're shoehorning this. You must be in a specific discipline if you really want to get the real benefit out of this. Fiery Shield. In the fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets, you can pick one infantry or Astartes mounted model unit from an army that is within 18 inches of a friendly psyker and was selected as a target of one or more of those attacking units. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets your unit, you subtract 1 from the hit roll, they subtract 1 from the hit roll, and if your pyromancy discipline is active, the weapons that targeted that unit become hazardous. Great. But once again, you need to know you are in a specific discipline to benefit from the secondary effect. And although the basic effect is nice, you want that secondary one. So you're being forced to shoehorn yourself in, or you've really got to be thinking ahead, which isn't no bad thing. But you may want a different discipline. See what I mean? Then you have Iron Arm. So in the fight phase, you select one infantry unit from your army within 18 inches of one or more Astartes Psychic unit from your army and not been selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, they get +1 strength to their melee weapons or +2 if you're in the Biomancy discipline. Okay, this one kind of makes sense to go, I'm going to be charging, so we'll go into the Biomancy one to get that extra movement and then boost the unit. But bear in mind, I don't know. It's nice, increases the strength by 1, 2 is better, but you've got to know what you're doing. You then have Assail in your shooting phase. You pick one Astartes Psyker from your army that is eligible to shoot. You select one enemy unit within 18 inches and visible to one or more enemy Psyche models in your unit, excluding those with lone operative. And you roll 6 dice, adding 1 to the result if you are in each dice if you are in the telekinesis discipline. For each 4+, they take a mortal wound. Okay, so this is the grenade strat for psychers. I actually really like this one. I can't, the telekinesis, it works on a 4+, same as grenades, but it's giving you a bonus, a nice bonus if you're in the telekinesis discipline. So it's still really worth using, even if you are not in the appropriate discipline. And lastly, you have the Prescient Precision. So in your shooting phase, you select one Astartes Psyche unit from your army that's not been selected to shoot. And until the end of the phase, the models in that unit get lethal hits. And if you're in Divination discipline, you get Ignore Cover. Again, really nice. And I will take that one just for the lethal hits. So personally, I can see what they're trying to do with this detachment. I just don't like the fact that it's based around a specific type of character model, and that it only affects the units they're in. So, for example, if I was to take this, I've got and I'm not playing the Legend. Let's just say, for sake of argument, I've got a Librarian, a Terminator Librarian, and a Phobos Librarian. Whatever discipline I pick applies to all of them, and it only applies to the unit they're in. Well, let's say I'm playing a 2,000 point game and I've got however many units. I'm only getting the benefit on 3 of them. Or in the case of some of these stratagems, it might be you can pick a unit that isn't with them, but you've got to be within 18 inches. I'm not impressed. I'm going to try it out. I'm going to play it. I will, because it'll be something different. But I'm not expecting to really rate this one on the tabletop. I think it will get mullered 9 times out of 10. I'd have liked something a bit better. I really would. But hey ho, at least it's a new detachment. It's something to try out. It could be a lot of fun. I'm just not impressed. I'm going to be generous and say I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. It's below average, but it's not pants. Anyway, what are your thoughts on this particular detachment? I'm guessing it's going to see, it could potentially see playing Crusade and narrative games, but I don't seriously expect this to be played as a tournament, as a competitive detachment. You're going to play it for a bit of fun. So let me know what you think down below. Give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next vid. Take care, guys. Good gaming.